I want to start off by collaging today. I've got this The Americas book that was a school book that I picked up at the thrift shop for $1. And I've got a bunch of tissue paper out here, and I'm still battling the glitter from the holidays. Using Mod Podge today in my art journal, as I always do. I like this big print. As usual, most of this won't be seen, but it's always a fun part of the process to me. To get to collage. Paper Trails Nights, it's a little thicker. Something like that to start out with. Very cold here in Iowa. I think today we didn't get above -2. So it will be very, very cold tonight. I'm hoping spring's right around the corner. According to Punxsutawney Phil. My husband says the thing here in Iowa is if you see a robin, that means spring is very close. But a few people I've talked to saw a robin the same time Punxsutawney Phil said that spring was right around the corner, what, 6 weeks away? But now everybody's complaining about the cold weather, like maybe it was, you know, I think it's so funny. The superstitions of people is just, I think it's funny. Cat hair and brush bristles and, man, oh man. Oh my goodness. Did not pick out a good brush tonight. This is just tissue paper that I stenciled on and stamped on a few years back. Oh my goodness, I need to get a different brush. Tissue paper is not very forgiving when you try to move it after it's wet. So I think I will just be happy with it like that. I'm trying to put these on the edges because I know, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure what I'm doing with my flowers. How I'm going to do them, how many, or but I do know that there will be probably at least one in this area. I don't know if I'm doing a big one right here in the center or multiple smaller ones. I'm just not sure yet. All right, we'll let this dry. I haven't used this for a while, but I've got a fine liner bottle with a little bit of Mod Podge and white in it. Does it still work? Yes, it does. Okay, and I was wondering, could I like fake write yes. So I wonder if it'd be any easier if I actually wrote something. No. It's about the same. I think it looks more fun when it's made up. Put a couple dots in there. I don't know what kind of letter that is. Okay, fun. Let's do that one on a, let's do it on a yellow as well. Yep, I should have checked that first. It's a little chunky up in there. And then I want to just jazz a few of these up a little bit with some stencils and paint. This is my dark gray that I like rather than black. I just grabbed the same dauber. What a goober. I had other ones out here ready to go. But that's the beauty of these. You can just cut off the end, move them up. So you've got a ½ an inch sticking out and you're ready to go again. Let's put out a little of our red and our magenta. So now I'll clean up, we'll let everything dry, and then we can come back and start working on our flowers. All right, it's the next day, and I've trimmed up the edges of my page. And now it's time to paint. I think I want, because I've got a lot of bright colors here we're using, I want to do kind of a pastel of these colors in the background. So I'm going to put out just a little bit of my yellow, orange, and magenta. Add some white to those. Let's see what that gives us. Well, as usual, very different from how I started. I thought I wanted a pastel background, but I did not like my colors I mixed up. I love this so far, but now I think I'm going to take a little bit of my modeling paste. You could also do this with gesso. A little bit here and there, scrape it on. I love it, but I still feel like it's too dark. Put just some white over it, tone it down. See if that'll get me more in my pastel look that I first wanted. I absolutely love this background, but it's just going to be too dark with my papers, with my gel prints on top. You won't be able to see them. Now while this is drying, we can work on our papers. I'm using my other journal for just to see if I can decide how I want to do my flowers. How many? Do I want one big one, right? Or do I want 3 or 2 or what? So I'm thinking, what if I had one here, the smallest one, and then we do a medium one like in here, and then do a large one kind of off the edge. And then if take an old piece of construction paper, oh, I'm cutting. I'm supposed to be tearing. Shoot. I think I'm gonna like that. Okay. Here's what I learned through this little process. I didn't love these. They were just a little bit too dirty looking for me in this instance. I'll use them for something else, but in this application, I don't know. They didn't sit right with me. This particular one, the paste papers, I had 2 that were paste papers. I was really surprised at how easily they tore, and even though they're quite they feel more dimensional, obviously, because of the paste, the wallpaper paste. They still tore super easy, and yeah, they're just great. So I did it. Then I decided to do a few extras of the ones that I really liked, and I think I have enough. I have all my papers right here. If I get going and I need more, I can quickly tear more. With the acrylic paint and Mod Podge, I just absolutely love the effect, and I loved it. You can feel it's a little bit raised on there, and I love the look of it, and that was really cool. I like them all, but just a couple of those things were just a couple of the things that I thought I wanted to mention to you. I just thought those were cool. So now we need to put our circles on our page. We have the small one up here. Still haven't decided how I'm going to treat my centers yet. biggest one, no, the biggest one was off to the side. Then our middle one was here. And then this one is a little bit higher and off to this side. Okay, we use that as our guide. And do we want the small one in the foreground, or I think we want this one in the foreground. So I think what I'm going to do is do the small one first. And I'm going to go into my area, into my center a little bit with each petal. And I want to get an idea. I'm not going to get it back just like it is, but I want to kind of get an idea. So I've got my colors spread out. I added in, as you saw, I added in a couple of papers for just a little more interest. Approach this as, you know, I try to get an idea of what I'm going to do so that I have the, hopefully a good outcome, but it just doesn't always come together like I originally planned. So I try to make a plan-ish, and then whatever happens, happens. I love how my page dried, and that I really like the whitewash over the whole thing. That was what I needed. Very, very pleased with that. Now for our medium guy. Maybe if I did them a little bit more by color, that would be helpful. Kind of nice because if your petal's a little shorter, then you can bring it to the outer edge. If it's a little longer, you can bring it to the inner edge, because this is all going to be covered up in the center anyway. It's very forgiving. I love things that are very forgiving. Have I mentioned that before? Let's stop there and let it dry, then we'll see what we've got. I think I'm going to take my Stabilo All in like navy blue, it's 8041, and go around my edges of my petals just a little bit to define them a little bit more. I thought about using a charcoal pencil, but or a marker, but it's just too much black. This, I think, is going to give me what I'm looking for. And I'm just going around loosely. I'm not trying to be perfect here. I wonder, oh yeah, that's gonna cover it up. I was worried about this right here where I thought maybe I should have put a couple more there, but I definitely think we'll cover it up with whatever we do in the center. All right, we're all right. I forgot to put my mic on. Now for our centers. My ideas were to either use some yarn and start in the center and swirl it out, but I think I'm going to use my modeling paste. You could do this freehand, and I have many times, but in this particular case I am going to use my stencil. This was my smaller guy here. Try to get it lined up pretty good. And because it's an art journal page, I think I don't want to get my texture paste too high. But I want it a little bit up because I want to be able to put some texture in there. And my Stabilo wall is activated with water, so I'm going to have to go back in and touch up a few of these places when I'm done. Now this is pretty thick, so it will probably take a couple hours to dry. Then I can paint it, and then it'll be completely dry probably within 24 or 48 hours. But I like the fact that it dries enough for you to continue with what you're doing, because I am impatient and want to get going. I do not enjoy having to wait for things to dry, but not a whole lot you can do about it, right? Now we'll let this dry for a little bit. Right, now our centers are dry, and I'm going to mix up a little bit of my magenta, a little bit of barn red, and maybe some regular red. And then I'm just going to quickly give a quick coat, work in all that texture See there? Texture. Yeah, I think that shows pretty good. So I want to go along the edge and make sure I've got all that white covered on my edge. I want to put a little bit of my barn red out. And my red. And now I'm just going to go back and add a little bit more in. I'm going to hit this with my heat tool really quick, and then we'll let it dry completely. My centers are dry and I really like how they turned out. I thought about adding a little bit more paint, but I don't think I need to. I think it kind of got right down there in my texture, and I really, you see it there, that light. Yeah, I really like that. Maybe should have put a few more pieces on these smaller ones, but I really like the big one for sure. And now I just want to go in with my Stabilo All and put some more on with those areas where I wiped up with my baby wipe and took some of that off. And then I will, because this is activated with moisture, and I will go back in with, as soon as I'm completely done, I will put a coat of spray fixative over this to make sure it stays nice. Well, that's my page. It was a lot of fun to make. I always say that, but it was. I'm being honest. I hope that you'll try some of these techniques out in your art play time. And I hope you'll join me in my next video. Bye for now.